case coming too. All right, we're gonna call it order because it is 2 o'clock still. All right, it is 2 p.m. We're calling to order the Ogden Valley City Council work session of March 23rd. It's 2 p.m. We are here in the Huntsville Town Council Chamber, which is our anchor unit. We are also available online via Zoom for electronic participation. I am going to go ahead and call roll. For the record, we have a full house today. We've got Councilmember Hickman, Councilmember Booth, Councilmember Shaw, Councilmember Hoagland, and Councilmember Julie Baker. I am Mayor Wampler. We also have our trustee recorder and IT director assisting us as well. So we do have a full house as well as an official quorum, and we will get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And they'll be followed with a moment of sleep. Thank you. All right, we will begin our meeting with our agenda items as usual. We start with our planning update. Councilor Booth.
Yes, thanks. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I'm gonna pull up my computer here and I don't have the agenda in front of me.
Peggy had mentioned that Brian.
Brian is on also.
Should we welcome him in?
Yes. Thank you, Brian, if you're there.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
So this is the time for the planning update, which is specific to the moratorium and the actions that are getting us out of the moratorium.
So I think the first thing I hope you all got was Brian's updated calendar. So if you received that this morning, if you want to pull it up. If questions for Brian, there is an update. Brian, would you like to review that quickly?
Sure. Yeah, so this past week, we've had a lot of requests for information on the moratorium finding. There's still a lot of interest in home additions and new home construction and outbuildings such as barns and pools and gazebos especially. But so we're working with keeping the public informed on our anticipated timeline to get that moratorium lifted. I've had a request for an application process to assign addresses to parcels in a subdivision. So we're working on putting together a new addressing system that complies with the Weber County Surveyor's office requirements. We've received a batch of conditional use permit information from Weber County, so we've got some documentation on what we hope to be all of the existing conditional use permits in operation in the valley.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit lost. I think I was under the impression Peggy was asking about an updated schedule with what you passed out this morning, so I was pulling that up. Is that what you're talking about right now?
Oh, you want the schedule? I see.
Yes,
Okay.
please. I'm sorry, Brian. I could have been clearer about that. Could you share with us? We have sent out mailers for the second time for a hearing for the planning commission because of errors that were on the first one. So we sent out a second one. Could you just review the timetable for those, Brian?
Well, and I think for the record, we don't have a big audience in the room, but if any of this is online, people online, or just because people might tune in after it's recorded and posted. The date of the original flyer has been changed. There will not be a public hearing on the 20th. I just want to make sure it's just correct. And on the record, there will not be a public hearing on the 24th. New flyers, mailers, whatever have gone out, and the new date is the 31st. I just wanna, yes, okay, so that's what you're referring to with the new mailers.
Correct. The 31st will be the planning commission public hearing for what they noticed on the postcards, and Brian can run through those. What I do want folks to know is the planning commission understands the urgency, so they're gonna keep the 24th as a meeting, so they can continue their work. Along with adding one on the 30th and having one on the 31st. So we're ready for the next public hearing meeting that has to be noticed the week of April 1st. So they're working just so diligently to do this. We apologize to everybody for the confusion in the dates and the information that was wrong on the mailers. So with a lot of work and skill and looking at it, our new mailers have been mailed Friday, so they will be dropping in mailboxes. So Brian, will you review the items that are being considered by the public on the 31st of March?
Okay, yeah, correct. So we did drop a new public notice postcard as well as courtesy letters for any properties that are being considered for a change in zone. The zoning language that is currently available to the public to review is for forest residential zone, forest valley zone, agriculture valley zone, and residential estates zones. We have also reviewed the subsection in the administrative chapters on definitions. So we're providing definitions to the public for review. This public hearing will also include the general plan and new proposed zoning map.
Brian, you said courtesy cards went to those who are being proposed to change zone as well, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, so there's
Two sets of cards went out, one to everybody and one to the subset. Is that true?
correct.
A card and a letter. It's not two postcards.
Okay,
They
a letter
received
to the
letter.
individual
Then,
that may have a zone change, specifically the ones I most care about are in my district.
Correct,
Okay,
but you can carry on.
I was gonna
I
say-
care about those, the ones I most care about, in my district.
Ryan, just a quick clarification, new postcards were sent out. Were new letters sent out?
So we managed to catch the letters last week that we had planned to go out, and they were not mailed. So there will be no reissue of letters. The courtesy letters these will be the first and only ones.
Okay.
Great, so as we move through the schedule, Brian, the hearing is on the 31st. Then you have April 7th for review and, I'm sorry, just the print is so small.
Yeah, sorry.
Review and,
Actually, direction.
what is the blue? Can you help us?
The
So, yeah,
blue.
the blue section, if necessary, that is scheduled additional time for the planning commission to to review the public comments that were provided and make any further recommendations to the city council. The planning commission is going to do their best to move items along to the planning commission immediately after the public hearing as much as they can. If some new information is brought up through the hearing process that they need to take additional time to consider and incorporate, I've penciled that space in that blue box of review and review and recommend, to give them just a little extra time to incorporate any changes that might be necessary due to the public comment. We're going to keep our fingers crossed and hope that after public comment is received, the commission can deliberate quickly and move those items on the same night as the public hearing. So if everything goes well, we will not need to use April 7th as a date to reconsider anything for the planning commission. It can go immediately to the city council for your review.
Okay,
What limits us for the review at that point, if we are able to move forward?
The only thing that would limit you is if you have any concerns that you feel need additional time to work through. If you did feel the necessity to send the information back to the public or to the planning commission for them to reconsider any of their decisions, you can. However, you also can just legislatively overrule any of their recommendations and follow your own. So that there, you could also, what I'm saying is you could also act on adopting any of the information provided to you by the planning commission if you feel like you're comfortable either with their recommendation or with your modifications to it.
Okay, so I guess the question I have on that is you've got the 21st of April on here. If we feel so good and everything goes smoothly on the 31st of March, is there any reason why on the 14th we can't move the adopting up to the 14th of April?
No, not at all. In fact, I've noted that at the bottom of the schedule. That recommendation to or that revise and recommend date for the planning commission and then the city council consideration date, those are also optional. So yeah, if you feel like the day you receive them, whether it's April 7th or April 14th, if you feel like they're ready to go after your deliberation, you are free to adopt and move forward immediately. We don't have to wait till the 21st. I penciled those dates in just in case we needed to plan ahead for any additional time for consideration.
And the only issue that's possibly in the way of that is the discussion we had last week on this when the public was concerned about not having another hearing, correct? We have the planning commission hearing and then have a city council hearing. And the way that we're looking at this is we're not going to do that. We'll just have it open for public input via written public input, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. You are
Verbal comment. May I just clarify, because I went back for notes on this? Technically, legally, we do not have to have a hearing.
Yes.
Yet, at our public meetings, we can still reserve time to listen to public comments on this before voting. Yes, that is what was discussed. Okay.
I think the understanding is, for me, is to make sure we have a communication strategy to let people know that's an appropriate time and meeting to do that. And so if we could let everyone know that because we're in a time crunch, we can't wait, we don't want to wait 10 days. But we do want both. We want to know, we want to hear from them. But we could do it in this meeting, the next public meeting we have. So we could reserve the next one for blasting out information.
So who's got the homework assignment to blast out what information?
This one here is in charge of the meeting.
Well, I'm aware of that, Mayor. I am asking a very specific and deliberate question.
Kay has been fabulous working with the communication team and helping us get out information about tomorrow being canceled. As a hearing, the meeting will continue, but the hearing date is scheduled. So she and the team have got it on Facebook, have emailed.
So if we decide that in lieu of a second public hearing, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z, Kay is in charge of getting out the X, Y, and Z in a timely manner.
That, and I would like to ask Kathy if there's a way to put a big thing on the front page of our website that says public comment will be taken at
There will be time
for, yeah, we'll write that. Kathy, can we put a big splashy thing on the front page of our? Yes, as soon as possible. So people will notice it, but if we could do that along with your team and your help, I think that would be a way to get to many people. April 1st, the paper comes out, we have to get an article in.
That has to go tonight.
Yes, so I'm wondering if that's appropriate to say after public comment.
Public hearing, you mean?
Thank you. After public hearing, the city council will take public comment on these proposed changes during whatever meetings we have.
I think that can be done with a communication team strategy and all that discussion. What just flew out of my head. What I would wanna say though, sorry, Don, I'll call you in 1 second, is that these dates that Brian is putting out, to clarify for you all, city council, as well as give Brian a little bit of backup here. These are according to the regularly scheduled meeting dates. If things are done, Brian doesn't have the ability to put on their mayor's gonna call a special meeting on this completely random date, and so he's putting things according to our original dates. What you've seen in communication with me is, depending on what the outcome of the hearing is and all that, is we're gonna call some, special meetings to make sure that we're moving timely and things like that. But that can't go on this because he doesn't have the authority to do that. The second thing I wanna ask about this calendar is we had some residents ask us, and I promised to follow up, is this calendar able to be shared publicly? How do you all feel about that? This is which if we could preface it with this is to be determined and blah, 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 but how do you feel about this particular calendar being made public? Because people are trying to figure out.
Dates are.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's working language.
It's not a working document, I mean, we nervous people would hold us to it,
It's a
that
public record,
it is.
so we should share it with an appropriate disclaimer that dates may change. As we progress, they may accelerate, some things may take more time. And I can work with people on a really good public disclaimer for posting this.
I was asking for, so Chad, do you have anything?
Well, I was just gonna say, public record means just because it's in our meeting, right?
You bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a public record.
I guess it's
It is a
responsibility.
working document too.
Yeah, if they wanna come and look at it, they can right now, right? Versus that's
The planning updates are posted on the public notice website.
this chart.
The planning updates, which includes this chart, is already a document that's been.
Oh, you mean the file that Brian sent?
The file that Brian sent.
Okay, well then I can go back and tell that to them.
Yeah, there you go,
Okay.
let's do that.
Well, I will add a communication strategy. It's important to gain confidence by posting it publicly with the notation that the times may change as well. So
Yeah, I think that's a good
it's
point.
really hard to find if you have to go through the public notice website, et cetera.
Yeah, because it's labeled as the Ogden Valley Ordinance Adoption Schedule, proposed schedule, possibly we want to add into that. Just to make sure people aren't stressing about the movement of that, either forward or backwards.
Yeah, I would say it's on here, I wouldn't throw it out too widely because it puts a lot of pressure on the planning commission and I just think they're working hard to make this happen.
Yeah.
And I just,
And the other pressure it puts on, Peggy, you and I discussed earlier, is on the five of us to be up to speed on those ordinances so that we're ready to go.
And
As of March 31st, right? We need to be really well versed on all those things.
And I can't speak for others, but I believe we need to feel that public pressure.
Yeah.
And we can also write the disclaimer such that these volunteers on the planning commission have our great thanks and respect, and we're all working together to make this happen on a timely basis.
Agreed, done.
Question for Brian and or Chad and Peggy, and then comment first. I have no problem personally putting it transparently out there. Pressure on planning commission, pressure on us doesn't bother me at all. I think transparency to the people on here's the plan changes, but here's the plan. So I would vote, put it publicly, but the caveat, it's gonna change every week. Question to Brian and or you guys. I'm at the website right now for the 31st of March. I don't see a link to all the documents that are gonna be reviewed.
did you click on,
I'm on the 31st of March.
did you click underneath the meeting notice?
I'm at the bottom of the meeting notice on our website, and I'm not finding links. So,
I'm there with
well, it's
the.
possible I missed it.
Just in advance?
No, yeah. It's all at the very bottom, go all the way down.
I'm at the very bottom of the planning commission, March 31st, 2026.
Are you at their meeting or the public hearing? They're having two meetings on the 31st. They have a meeting and they have a
You're on the
public.
3 o'clock one.
I'm at the 3 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
That's my bad. So, it's all there. since I can't find it, Ryan, and it's a technical problem on my part, did you put the compare and contrast document there for people to look at?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did.
Yes, that's included in the zoning change summary document.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so there's two documents for most of them. The summary change for each, and then the red line version. Except for the general plan, it's all attached in one. So it's the intro to the general plan. There are copies over in the office of everything we printed out this morning. So if anyone doesn't have access or can't do it, they can come and look. Or, you know, if we need to, we can print another copy. They can take that one and print another. And actually have office items, we'll get rid of Bruce.
Yes, ma'am.
Just jumping back to this calendar. So our discussion here is of changing the adoption date of April 21st. It's just allowing more public comment on the 14th. Is that what we're discussing?
That wasn't what I was discussing.
Okay, I'm just trying to clarify for myself what we're doing because it says 21st of April adopt. And so it says city council consider the 14th of April. And I think what we're talking about is putting in another opportunity, not having a public hearing for the city council, but having a way for the public to give comments. And it would be,
And we could advertise that for the 14th, the work session, would that be appropriate?
Well, unless we want to move it up.
So this is Brian's report.
Yeah.
Brian and I have not talked. So this is from him and he's the one managing the planning commission and he's managing up. You all have received notice from me on various dates to keep in mind on your calendars and to let me know if you're not available so I can figure out a way to quorum for certain dates. Because I can call a meeting whenever I feel like, for lack of a better term. And everybody has been instructed that now that the recommendations are out, to start reading them. Nothing will happen until there's a public hearing, because we don't know if they're going to actually continue recommending these versions. But I have asked that everyone on city council start reading them, so you're not on the back foot. Should they go ahead and push forward for adoption on the 31st, one or more of those recommendations? If they do, we can meet whenever. So I'd like everyone to start reading. I have said to say, yes. So yes, I can call them for whenever we're all available in the room and the staff is available, and I have asked everyone for the second already. That doesn't mean we're having it yet. That's why I have not done anything publicly about that. I'm internally trying to get a feel for if I have a quorum and all that. I need everyone to be reading, but everything will hinge on the public hearing on whether or not the planning commission forwards a positive recommendation. They have three options. They can forward a positive, they can forward a negative, which wouldn't make sense, and they can table it. There's a good possibility one of the two is gonna happen, forward or table. They've got, I don't know how many, 6 things that they're going through. No, 7, it looks like, maybe 7 things. No, actually it's 6. By the way, Brian, we've got HR and FB3 listed as 2 separate things when they're the same. If you wouldn't mind combining slashing just because it's.
No, HR and F are the same thing. HR and FV are separate zones
Okay.
that we'll be considering. You were correct. There are 7.
All right, so then there's 7. So there are 7 items. So it's entirely possible we'll get some, whether or not it's all, I don't know. We can start going, but it's not, this calendar can't reflect that because that's not something Brian can forecast.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. This is not what I'm agreeing
it
to.
could be earlier.
Yes, it could be.
And would that include public comment?
Comment, absolutely. Which is different.
Feedback.
Which is different than a hearing.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Hickman.
I reserve the privilege of, after the planning commission has their public hearing and does whatever it is of the 3 options they do, we will meet again and make some decisions on what we want to do. You have asked us our availability, yes, but at that, given this is the first time we're actually gonna see ordinances as the city council to vote, At that point, I think we're gonna need to come together and make a decision. What do we want to do with what they send up to us or not? We may want to say, you know what, it's what's the word I'm looking for? Controversial enough, we might want to do another public hearing. We might want to do more time. We don't know until we see what the planning commission does. I submit on this first time. There's plenty of time in the schedule. Yes, we want haste, but let's make sure we do this first tranche right. Let's not have another self-inflicted gunshot wound like we did. Let's make sure we got this one right and we get these right. So I reserve the privilege of saying slow down or speed up or whatever from District 5.
Understood.
Agreed, just we would like the same.
I think we're all in the same boat on that. We want to do the right thing.
We're gonna hear what happens, and I want to also share with you the planning at Ogden Valley Utah.org is working, and we're getting comments on that. And Brian has listed that we are getting some comments. Is that correct, Brian?
Yeah, that's correct. I've received 2 or 3 comments over the weekend, plus a
Excellent.
few
So,
before the end of last week.
yeah, and so hopefully as that card gets out and more people see it, they will also document and send in their comments. So we'll have those too.
Anything further about the planning update with the moratorium commission with all that? Mr. Hickman.
I do not on that subject, but Brian, you mentioned GIS, addressing, mapping, GIS and addressing before you started talking planning commission. Do you recall? You made
Yes.
a comment about addressing. I'm asking you now to get with Nate Smith and Matt Crump, but we are also dealing with addressing and GISing. Let's make sure we're all doing it the same way.
Okay,
And Matt Crump and Nate are points of contact for the GIS and for the city. So let's just make sure that you guys synchronize.
okay.
Thank you.
I'll coordinate
Okay.
with them. Thanks.
Is there anything further, Chad, on your update?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Alright.
Thank you, Brian, for
Yes.
jumping on. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, moving on, we have discussion on consent items for today's meeting, which happens in the next 30 minutes or so. Everybody sent minutes as well as invoices. Did anyone have anything they needed to call out prior to pushing that forward in our meeting? No, okay, no, fantastic, moving on. Discussion on advisory committees, this was coming from Councilmember Hickman and possibly Hoagland as well. Okay.
I sent everybody an email this morning. I realized that you may not have had a chance to read it, but moving forward with trying to get the agricultural committee going as the sponsor brought it here 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago when we talked about it along with water. What I sent you is a document that Ian Hooten and I put together. Ian's the primary author of it, which suggests an initial stand up of the advisory committee with some names that would be the initial members of it. At the first meeting, we would discuss and would be co-chair. In that same document, Ian and I have suggested a few work things to begin with, things where we can develop trust amongst the members. And they're low hanging fruit, but important things. Our intent is to, after we're done here today, announce it. Ian's got an article from the newspaper that says that the Ogden Valley Agricultural Advisory Committee or group, whatever it's called, first meeting would be the 9th of April in the evening. Come all. T and I've met Neil and Mitzi Bailey Baker. We're taking over operating of the former monastery for Bill White. People like that are going to be involved. So you have the information. We intend to get going on it. There are some important things that the ag community wants to get going. Some of it will be advice to planning commission and us over time. I'm not aware that any of that has to be done in the next 2 weeks. So it's information to you guys that we're standing up and going. In the case of water, I'm not prepared to stand up the water advisory group at this point. We need to get the agricultural one going before we get water.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Two questions, actually. Number one, you had mentioned they want to provide advice to the planning commission. That would be, I would argue that would be the way that communication would flow.
If the planning commission asks the question of, I don't know why we would not allow the planning commission to ask the city council's agriculture advisory committee a question about that. Are you implying they should not?
Well, what would be, so they've already put forth their recommendations for the agricultural zone, so I'm trying to figure out what that would be that.
I'm not gonna presume future questions. There will be a committee of agricultural specialists who are working agricultural issues, and if the planning commission has a question about ag, this committee will be available to chew on it and provide them an answer back.
I would suggest that the advisory committee is there to advise the city council. And the city council can run their vision through the planning director, who then runs it into the planning commission. We can discuss that at another time. That was just something that stuck out. The other thing was, are you planning on opening it up for anyone to request to join, or are you just simply appointing people and?
We're gonna open it up for requests to join, but this is an initial set of members to get it going. And at the meeting, we'll talk through the right communities, producers, big producers, small producers, business smart people, things like that to join. But the objective is to not have 50 members of it. There will be plenty of opportunity to provide input via different subcommittees that will be formed.
As I understood the advisory committees, I understood it very similarly that we as the sponsor, the co-chair, however language we use that, would be helping the committee, and then we would bring it back here. So are we gonna do that for all advisory groups like the water group?
What do you mean, bring?
Here, and not necessarily through the planning committee?
But this is the city council's advisory committee. Formulate however we want it. If the planning commission has a question about agriculture, they can ask, the planning officer can ask us, and we can decide whether we want our ag committee to do it. But
That is within their purview to comment.
the committee exists to, the committee will exist to inform and help us do our job.
Okay, we need to clarify that more, because
Understood.
that is an important nuance to this.
What are we talking about?
Well, but
Can I just jump in? Ian Houghton said upon approval of our committee, so I'm not sure what his thought is, how this works, because it confused me, because he says in here, if you all approve formation, and I got confused because I thought we had already done a resolution.
We had this.
So
I'm knee deep in doing impact fees, I'm knee deep in doing permitting and inspection contracts, I'm knee deep in doing engineering. This is a draft plan that Ian put together that he and I have been looking at for the last 2 weeks. We authorized the agricultural advisory group 2-3 weeks ago in the resolution. This is the initial plan to get it going. It will morph over time as we add or subtract members and add or subtract subcommittees. But we authorized this to exist in a resolution whenever we did.
right,
So the intent is to get it going. I think we approved it.
We approved the formation of a certain number, and we named them of committees or advisory groups. That does not necessarily, and I haven't read this yet, I've been in meetings all morning, so this email came out. I can't speak to it, because I haven't had a chance to read it. So, if this is talking about what it's gonna look like and how it's going, that is not something I think in this work session especially, we are approving. It was approved that we would create an advisory group, what it looks like.
Did we approve a charter or it looks like for the renaming committee? No. Do we have an operating renaming committee? Yes. We authorized it to exist. It's going.
I understand, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if, I haven't read the email, but if it's saying things like, with the approval, we're going to do X, Y, Z, but we didn't.
We're not-
Do you want me to
I'm not
speak to this?
Go ahead, Ian.
I'm sorry. Hi, Janet. So excuse the imprecise language at the beginning there. So I understand that you've already approved the committee, and the point of this document is to not give these committee members, some of whom may or may not even know each other, so it's going to be their first time at a table together. They all share this vision, and I think they're going to be a good starting team for exploring this really important area for the city's future. But that being said, I didn't want to give them a blank slate. Well, what do we do next? Here's some ideas that I've researched pretty deeply that I know are consistent and common problems around the valley. Y'all might want to start here. Irrigation's a good one. Land and zoning, neighborhood conflict, those are good ones. These are kinds of some of the places they can start, but it's not fully scripted how they're going to do it, who's going to do it. And much of that wants to be left to the committee level where they self-organize with this overall intent that you've basically approved already, that you have a functioning agricultural advisory committee. Go get busy.
Okay.
If I may interject, I think what you've prepared is a draft with some ideas. You can ask for approval to implement all of that. It is an FYI for us, and I think it's unnecessary to get into nuances of who can ask what, when, where, and how. But I applaud you for moving forward, and given a presentation I made a number of meetings ago, I have a life cycle of a committee chart I will share with you and Don again that talks about how to do formation and implementation. And I think you're on track.
All right.
Sounds good.
Anything else? Okay, moving on. Thank you very much, Ian. Next on the agenda, we have an update on impact fees.
You all received an email from me yesterday or the day before, I don't remember which. This is intended to be a verbal update, but I sent an email so you'd have something to read. Bottom line is Kay, Janet, the team of engineers, Zion Public Finance, Sherry Broadman, a whole bunch, several others are rapidly producing what are called impact fee funding plans by the engineers to turn over to Zion's Public Finance, which become impact fee analysis. All of those eventually come to us. We will public notice that we have them and we intend to adopt impact fees. It'll be a 10-day notice period that does not go through the planning commission. We'll have a public hearing and we will vote or not to adopt first tranche of impact fees for our city. There is no way to escape the calendar. Based on the start date of all this, the earliest that the impact fees will pass their 90-day wait period will be sometime after the 1st of July. So there will be this thing that Janet calls a donut hole where there will be no impact fees, though people will be able to apply for development permits. We simply cannot get around it. The way we're approaching this is we're using Weber County's existing IFFPs and IFAs, distilling it down to what's applicable to our city, assessing it, doing whatever JUP does and whatever Zions does, and coming up with the first tranche. When we're done with this, we will immediately, or within a couple of weeks, tell them to now start doing a new set with new analysis that will ultimately be based on the reality of our city as it exists versus what the county did 5 to 10 years ago. That's where we are. So Janet will work with us at the right time to call either a regular scheduled hearing or a special session so that we can approve these things and move the calendar, the 90-day clock, as forward as far as we can.
The only thing I would want to add, just to be clear, since this recording stays in public record, is that while we are working to make sure that lovingly called donut hole is as small as possible if it has to exist at all, it does not necessarily guarantee that there are applications, that there are people that will get through that are not affected by impact fees, because it all also plays in as to when those impact fees are assessed and collected. So just as there is a few days that might happen does not mean that we, there's still some.
A different way to put this is we will most likely have all of the land use related stuff, the ordinance is done, and hopefully an organic permitting process, which we're gonna talk about next, in place before the impact fees become legal, whatever the term is, then
Become due.
become due after the 90-day period. There's just no way to escape that in the calendar.
So we have forfeited the any impact fees up to this point.
That is not the case.
That's not the case.
Okay, so let me rephrase that. Tell me about the impact fees before.
Well,
May I jump in? I'm looking at this.
So what I just briefed on is what we're doing going forward, not vested historical stuff. If the question is vested historical stuff, over to you.
Those are accrued, impact fees in trust accounts, technically not trust, but they're held in the special segregated accounts, by the county, and we are working with them about whether those remain with the county under all the requirements of the law, or we undertake those. But they are safe now, and they are by law designated to be applied in the confines of Rock Valley.
So I'm trying to just identify the holes. So the ones in the past are there, we can work with them and try to get those funds. When does that stop moving forward? Does it stop?
Those fees that are approved remain intact for those projects for which developers have already paid. Okay.
So when does that hole exist?
And this is a whole different, the reporting whole is actually regarding the second phase of our impact fee work, which is adopting, creating actually an ordinance based on the research and data contained in the Weber County prior IFFP and IFFA. And that's a separate matter. So that is where there's a whole administrative and legal procedure for developing, posting them, and then being able to make them effective within 90 days of a certain posting.
But here's an example. Let's just say we were given a moratorium and anybody could apply for a building permit right now. That would be subject to an impact fee.
Right.
We don't have one, any impact fees.
Okay, so
They're
we
there.
get it.
We couldn't apply the impact fee to them so that they would get out without paying an impact.
But as long as the county is collecting them for permits currently, we're
The
okay.
ones that fell,
Before
Is
that,
prior,
That's
right,
they are being collected, what is the?
Not,
that is the intent, and that's
Yeah.
another discussion, another topic that we can present on.
there's a tranche of historical stuff that's
Right.
paid in escrow.
and that's.
There's
how
a
I-
tranche of stuff that is being worked under county rules. That is a separate legal discussion. I don't know if it's subject to special session or closed session or
Okay, I'm
not.
gonna keep this to the forward ones for right now. We're running out of time. We had a special session.
You got this.
So the hole, the donut hole would apply to anyone coming in and wanting to apply.
There, we will complete the land use process of getting out of the moratorium before the 90-day window closes for the new impact fees. So it is possible that a person could apply for and be approved for a building action that would have been subject to an impact fee, and there won't be one to apply to. That's possible, because the timing just simply won't.
Right, I
It's
will,
not a guarantee, it's a possible.
I will personally say it is conceivable that some time may be saved, but it's gonna be very difficult. to
It'll be
avoid that
days, not
cost.
weeks.
Okay. Anything else? I'm gonna move this forward.
Not for me.
Fantastic. Next, sorry.
Sorry, just as a layperson, are impact fees tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Depends on what you're building.
And who,
What?
and who?
No,
No, it actually
completely depends on.
Well, guess what I am saying versus an individual
I'm
homeowner.
like, it absolutely does not depend on the who.
That's on corporate identity and what project.
Okay, update on permit inspection RFP.
Okay, so 1 or 2 work sessions ago, we agreed that I and Kay would take the lead, getting a solicitation on the streets to create our own organic permitting and inspection department. Take Stan and his group, creating our own. The impetus frankly for doing it is revenue. If you recall that Jeanette Harris told us moons ago now that there's there's revenue.
First thing we're supposed to do.
First thing we're supposed to do is figure out how we're gonna do that. So the RFP is on the street. There are several companies interested per Sherry. The timing is such that we will get the respondents at the end of this week or the next week. We will go into source selection, and the intent is to down select who will win from us before the 7th of April. Peggy and Chad, I sent you an email and asked you if either of you would want to be on the source selection committee. You haven't answered, which is fine, but let me know soonest. For sure, it's Dawn, Janet, Glenn Gamble. Thank you, Peggy, for introducing Kay and I. Glenn is the Deputy Public Works Director at the City of Harrisville. He's a Valley resident. The man is a wealth of information on the subject. Probably include Sherry, and it might include Chad Bushill. So fast and furious. We don't have any names yet. I've been responding to questions, and period. Separate. Some of you are on an email. Chad, you are, and I don't remember who else. There was some confusion caused maybe within Stan's planning department, because I let Stan know that we were doing this, and apparently somebody in the planning department decided to tell a resident of ours that, they're gonna do their own by April. And so I put a kibosh on that. I said, Stan will work hand in glove with you once we begin building our capability, and we'll work it out over time when we turn off Stan and we go to us. Questions? Over to you two to let me know if you want to be on the source selection committee.
Well, I didn't understand in terms of the numbers of us and who could do it. If you and Kay were doing it.
Well, we're not meeting. Well, okay, good. I mean, if we're all there together, does it become a public meeting?
I will research that.
It does.
I will research
But
that.
if we're doing it remotely and we're simply reviewing solicitations and using the source selection criteria, is that a public meeting?
I will get advice on
All
it.
right, we'll get the attorney advice.
Respond.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
With Chad, yeah, morning.
Appreciate it.
Check with Chad and then find out about that.
Let's not get into tizzy with the law on this one. Thank you. That's a good, thanks, Peggy.
I would add, though, we always respect and follow the law on this tribe.
Good
Not
catch.
busy, it's respect.
Whatever the answer is, source selection will happen about a week from now. Ish.
One hope request, when some of these companies come in for building permitting and inspection, they usually have a code enforcement piece, or some of them that we have met have a code enforcement piece. Would that be something we could look at as have an eye to, oh, this is a possibility also?
I did not put that in the RFP. I thought
Could it be a perk?
well, it could be, but I thought we had a code enforcement plan. Is that,
Yeah, we've had 3 interviews and we're still debating.
let's talk offline and see what we can do.
Anything else? Fantastic. All right, we are moving on to councilman comments. We go around. I like to start with number 1. So district 1, which would be councilmember Tiasha, doesn't have about your district, but your portfolio, whatever it is. Would you like to share anything? Have any questions?
Well, so I'm still a little confused about these committees. I have formed, invited members to be on an emergency preparedness committee. But nothing as formal as what Dawn has done. So I'm looking and going, should it be that formal? I don't know. I need some advice on that, because I just sent out, invited people, and now we're meeting tomorrow. And what does it look like to form a committee? The city, the naming the city committee formed themselves. And then Dawn's got a very formal process that he's gone through. I just don't know where this goes. How do we do this, or do we just do our own thing?
I will give you my advice from a legal perspective and what the difference is. These citizen advisory committees are unique and special. They are things that is not required to do by law, but is sought to improve and increase feedback from the community. What you are doing is a city function to prepare the crisis plan, emergency plan. And what you are doing is tapping into a variety of citizens to help contribute to and develop that plan. So technically, I think you are right to go ahead and work with your committee, just like if I were to have a lawyer's advisory committee on a legal issue or on a document I was doing. You don't have to form a committee and go through this. However, I think if you would like to have that additional visibility for this group of citizens, you may use that. Problem with naming with ACT, we didn't have that function really as part of our city responsibility.
Did we name you under the committee recommendations in our resolution?
No,
I thought we had the emergency committee as part of that.
I think so. But we should name people.
No people. So I think we got the nod.
Yeah, she knows that.
I just like how formal should this be, you know, like.
I would recommend setting some goals, doing the
Well,
vision, those kind of
Yep,
things, but other than that.
But also, you know, I've been going to the Weaver County Emergency Preparedness, I've been talking with Lisa Gosselin. A lot of what she's giving me is, and I talked with Jen about this. Education on how to be an emergency preparedness manager. And, you know, are we gonna do that every time a term is up? Re-educate someone to be an emergency preparedness manager, right?
So we're on the committee for lunch.
I think to answer the question that you were asking is each of the people that have a specific thing they want to start. Some things are just. A lot of us read on different things and we were hoping for information flowing into the city council as help. I think in your case, this is a very specific committee with a specific goal, and that is what would drive how we want to set this up. So whether it is in order to come to an agreement on an emergency preparedness plan that we then have by resolution we adopt and all the stuff, or if you want to then continue it for special events and things to really educate the community and do. But this is, think about your goal that you want to obtain, and then you put together whatever's going to achieve that goal.
Yeah, and we'll be discussing that. It's just that, some of these things require some education with, FEMA and things like that. And so do we get someone who will, I guess I'm asking, will we ever have someone on staff that is an emergency?
I don't know, but we're not gonna answer that right now, because that's out of the scope for right now.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to share during the comment period?
No.
Okay, and we can continue that conversation for future hours. Districts 2 is Councilmember Dylan Baker.
Well, the planning commission, we've just been working to get the new cards out to everybody in the new letter, so that was a lot of coordination on that piece. I did get a chance to meet with United Way, they do community care, and they have a student advisory group up here in the valley, and they have board meetings quarterly. And I know that was something you were very interested in, the student input, and I was wondering how we interface with them. And
With who, I don't know what communities that care.
it's United Way.
I don't know United Way, but what is this group?
It is part of United Way that works with students. There's 3 pillars. Parent organization is one, or parent information is one. They do parenting classes. They also try to build resiliency in kids. And we have a student advisor there. So anyway, I could continue down, hook me up with them. I think he sent them over my way. Great group. They work with the kids at Snowcrest and wanted to know if we wanted to attend the board meetings. Many of the meetings or different designees come. So I just wanted to toss that out. If that was something you wanted to do, or if you wanted to defer to me, I'd be happy to pick that up and run with it to see about the student piece.
I'll get with you.
Okay, so that happened, and then I think the only other thing I've been trying to get to the bottom with, and I'll talk to Don about this, is Blue Stick for companies digging.
Ask me afterwards.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
about blue state fees, is that what
In general,
I'm talking about easements and what's going on? Like water companies pay.
they are required to blue stick. They pay for it, we don't. But talk to me. Or talk to me.
And like, so he's saying he can help you, or you guys get together, you don't get all six, is that?
Well, just if it's a problem in other districts, water companies are getting exorbitant blue stick fees, they do it once, they don't dig, they do it, when they ask again, and they don't dig.
I don't know anything about that.
So our water company in Nordic, it was one example, I think I've heard it from,
Blue state costing, and they're required to do it, and if they do it and they have to do it again, it costs twice. That's because it's a commercial service that they utilize.
I got that.
Yeah, so it's just, let's talk after.
Okay, so blue stick concerns were the only other questions I had.
Okay.
I think other than that,
Councilmember Hogan.
You bet. A few quick things, a lot of time spent on communications, helping Peggy, to get the, can I say it, second tranche of this out. And also there have been 4 other valiant team members helping us, and hands out to Ann Ladd, Jana Fulmer, Jeannie Wendell, and 1 or 2 others who are helping to circulate this. We do have newspapers articles due, please provide your ideas. They need to be written no later than tomorrow. I asked for an extension of time within which to comply from Jeannie, which she granted. But give me the ideas with bullets tonight. I already received some.
go ahead, jump in there, may we also get, Kathy, would that be appropriate to get content to put on our website? If you think it's something that could be duly posted, please send it to. Give to ask for,
Yeah.
to put on the website.
Okay, on the legal front, some ongoing consideration, research and interface with our outside counsel on a number of matters. On my desk are contracts that have had to wait a bit pending, completion of the work on these more emergency matters. And also budget matters. We are in budget season. We have commissioned Sherry to prepare the preliminary first round budget. We will be getting funds in this week, which hopefully will swell our coffers so we can pay our bills, but budgeting has to really get more data, which we are receiving real time. I have some side issues I would like to talk just to highlight what they are. One is I'm receiving a number of calls about non-compliant, for example, construction, a renovation that was done without a permit. So whom do I talk to get an answer about the resolution?
Us, we contact Stan and he's been us, Chadwick.
Okay, Stan will enforce it, yeah.
He has offered to do that, so.
That is excellent, thank you. And that is it.
All right, next up, Councilmember. Oh, that's fast, I like it. Councilmember.
You all know that we were awarded the TPA grant, $175,000. What's our commitment, 25? So I'll be working with Wasatch Foot Regional Council sometime in about a month to really understand what we gotta do. Big picture GIS, I mentioned one of the things regarding addressing. At some point soon, we will have to make a decision. Either we're gonna ask the county to continue doing land use and engineering overlays, or we're gonna do it. And I'm pretty sure the county doesn't wanna do it. So I've got JUB putting together a quote and a time frame for us to take it over. What I've told JUB, and I'll insist with the county too, is what we cannot happen in the middle of this moratorium, getting out of it, all of a sudden the overlays are gone. That would be a disaster. So just know, I don't know how long it'll take to stand up our own GIS, but that's the issue that I've got JUB working on. And just remind anybody who asks, can they dig? Not Blue State, but can you dig in one of our shady streets or trails? No, unless you have an excavation permit. So if you see somebody digging and they're acting like they're digging without a permit, please call me.
What does it actually, what does it actually?
If there's a water company just randomly digging in a street, say, time out, do you have a permit? Now, in an emergency, of course, go ahead and fix the break and call us later, but there's a set of them in the works, but nobody's actually paid us a dime for an approved permit. So I'm wondering, I don't drive everywhere, so if you guys see a bunch of, people with backhoes digging on our roads.
So we had the incident of the four-way.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, you have an example.
Yeah, and so just for everybody's understanding, that's the UDOT right away. There was Rocky Mountain Power subcontractor. They were completely off base in the wrong place. But so period. And Nate and I and others figured out what was going on, but in the UDOT right of ways, it's not us, it's UDOT. Now Nate will spend some of our dollars to find out the answer. But on Highway 39 and Highway 152 and in wherever, we don't control those. Just know this a total screw up by Rocky Mountain. Let me rephrase that. It was a Rocky Mountain Power subcontractor is in the wrong place.
So
that will get resolved, sorry, that will get resolved
Between the landowner and Rocky Mountain Power.
but with it being a UDOT issue, going forward, we would still take the same approach, being that we're.
Well, we want to be responsive to our citizens and help them. And that's what we
Just
were.
recognizing that some of these are not going to fall under our.
Right, we don't control,
responsibility.
right.
Is what you're saying.
Well, what we do is help them find out what's happening, and get the right pieces put together, and that's what we did in this case.
So did you follow back up with the landowner?
The landowner calls Nate or I almost every day. He's been given all the information he needs.
That's all I want. Anything else? Okay, for me, I just wanted to reiterate, I have put through for everybody both electronically in your calendar, with a PDF. And I will get it posted in the office, the April office hours, we still have one date that has not been, called for, signed for. So anyone that is available on that date, I am not, but if somebody is and wants to trade, I'm happy to take on an additional date, I just cannot take the one that is open. So I'm free to talk to anyone, to negotiate that, but we need somebody for that one date. When it comes to, I want to reiterate, that, the website, I want to actually reiterate the whole communications thing, but the communications that are out, which Councilmember Hoagland is heading up. That does, like, she's willing to write articles or do whatever, but she needs information coming to her. The same situation is with Kathy at our website. I am very clear with Kathy that, she is not responsible for any content, it is driven to her, so. It is up to each one of us to check the website occasionally to make sure that what's there is correct. And if something is missing, it's up to the city council members to drive that content to Kathy. Kathy will get it on, she's so incredibly quick with everything, but she cannot do it without someone sending it to her to say, you have my requested permission to put this on the website. So please, be conscious and paying attention to our website and looking at things that you are involved with. As I will continue to do for it all. And then separately, I don't think it got mentioned, but please everybody remember that this vision statement has been going around. There were comments that were due, a week, 2 weeks ago. And some people have sent them in and others haven't, but we keep pushing it down the road because people haven't turned in. Take some time, it is currently on the agenda for next Monday. People wanted to get this thing agreed to, we need to get the comments in so that we can have something to agree to.
We are still meeting over this with Christine Williams, and we have extended the window of comments to Wednesday at midnight. Because we want to look at and provide recommendations to you all.
Okay, that's it for me. So in that case, next thing on the agenda is adjournment. I will take a motion to adjourn. So, we got a from Commissioner, Councilmember Hoagland and a second from Councilmember Hickman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I didn't hear everybody.
Aye. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. That leaves no one to oppose, so it is a unanimous decision to adjourn. It is 3:05.